Welcome to An Hour with Crowder. Here, your host, Crowder, and my guest, Cait Rybiski, a live activist out in Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex, live protesting. She's going to tell us a little bit about the experience, what's happening, what's not happening, and everything that's going on. Introduce yourself if I missed anything.
No. My name's Cait Rybiski, and I run a Facebook group called A Daily Call to Action, and I'm just about, I feel weird calling myself an activist. I feel like there are people who are, so much better at that than I am, but, yeah, I'm an activist. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know whether to call you an activist or a protester, because when I call people a protester, they say, no, I'm an activist. And then when I call people an activist, they say, I'm a protester.
Whatever you want to call me.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, but I do have a couple of questions for you, because I wouldn't say I was out on the front line, because I've only went to one protest so far, but a lot of things have been going on in the protest so far. A lot of misconstrued information from the news,
Sure.
A lot of, not deaths, but people getting severely hurt. What are some of your experiences that you, being an activist on the front line, you've experienced?
I've seen, a lot of bravery. Let's just put it that way. A lot of bravery. There is, a lot of people who are willing to risk everything for the cause. And ideally, as an activist, that's what you do, is you're willing to die for what you believe in. And that's still something that I'm still wrapping my head around. And we could talk about that. But, I've seen cops act like assholes, to people, and, and then the next moment kneel in solidarity. And that is just not okay. Not okay.
Yeah, they've been pretty wishy-washy lately.
Pretty wishy-washy.
It's some people that'll kneel, and then some people that won't do anything. And then it's just a big mess with that type of thing. I don't know where to stand with the cops, because I want to be with them, because I know that there are crazy people out there that isn't there for the cause. Like me and Heather, you're familiar with Heather or whatever. But me and the person that I went to go protest with, it was someone throwing rocks at the Chase building downtown.
Yeah.
And we literally told him to stop and called him an agent, because that's exactly what you are. You're an agent if you're throwing stuff, because we're all here peacefully protesting, but you're trying to tear down the Chase building, and that's not what we're here for.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on.
It's a lot of stuff going on, and, I've had friends who've gotten shot by rubber bullets, who've been gassed. I've been, very fortunate, and I know my limits when it comes to being out. I, know that I'm not in the best shape. I'm not going to survive. You know what I mean? But, so I know my limits, but at the same time, I think you gotta expect anything when you go out to protest. You gotta expect anything.
Especially that crazy guy. Did you hear about him? Charles Schultz?
No. Like the guy who writes the Peanuts?
No. No, he was trying to defend a bar that he loves to go to. And he brought out a machete knife.
Yeah.
I was there that night that it happened.
Shit.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying about the misconstrued information from the news. The news tried to paint it like these protesters just went up and beat the crap out of this guy, when in reality, no. He was defending a bar and got on Twitter and said that, hey, my stupidity led me to do this, and this is what happened. A little context for people that don't know. In Dallas, Texas, during the protest, I think the second day of the protest, there was a guy named Charles Schultz. I hope that I'm saying his name right. He decided to defend a bar, and he ended up getting mobbed by a mob because he was swinging a machete knife. And he ended up actually hurting one of the protesters, and that's when the mob went in.
Yeah.
So, and then he got on Twitter. I mean, he was severely beaten, and then he got on Twitter and explained what happened, because the news was slandering us as protesters. And it's just so many stories like that. Another one was Brandon McCormick. I hope I'm saying his name right also. It was the arrow shooter guy. he said that, oh, I'm with you, but you're shooting arrows into the crowd of protesters. That doesn't seem like you with us.
No.
And that didn't happen here. That happened, I think, in Utah or Seattle or somewhere like that.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, it didn't happen here in Dallas. But yeah.
Shit's fucked up right now, you know? But the thing is peaceful doesn't sell on the news. So you're only hearing about the crazy shit, you know? But the majority of everything has been peaceful.
Yeah.
People are looking out for each other. Protesters look after protesters. You know what I mean? We keep each other in check. We keep each other hydrated and fed. And I mean, like, you go out to a protest and it's one of the most unifying experiences you can have. People are like, you know, giving out water, doing this, doing that, making sure you're okay. You know, people you don't even know, you know, they don't know you, but they want to make sure you're okay. And you're here for the cause too.
Yeah, and actually one of the protesters that I was with, I'm not going to say her name for clauses or whatever reason. She might not want to be put out there. But that guy with the machete knife that got severely hurt, she went over there and rendered him aid.
Yep. I saw another story where, you know, right-wing and, you know, I guess protester for his side or whatever you want to call it. But he was on the other side and, you know, he got hurt and there's, you know, all of these black men who are putting him over his shoulder, making sure he's okay and getting him to safety.
That's the great thing that I do see about this. Everybody's like, oh, well, racism this, racism that. I've almost have not seen, not saying that there's no racism and it doesn't exist, but the fact that I see Mexicans out there, I see Chinese people out there, I see white people, I see black people. I think racism really be only selling on the news like that. Because I see everybody out there fighting for the same cause. This is the most solidarity that I've seen in a very long time. That everybody all together over the whole world is fighting for one cause.
It's beautiful. I think, you know, a good friend of mine would say that, you know, don't let them tell you that it's about race. It's a class war. And we have to decriminalize being poor.
Yeah, we was talking about that a little bit before the camera started rolling.
Yep.
Just expound a little bit on decriminalizing being poor, because a lot of people will think different, just like they've thought different about what Antifa was. It was a big whole back and forth on the internet about that. But first go into decriminalizing being poor.
So, you know, it's just like poor neighborhoods, whether they're white or black or Mexican or whatever. If they're lower class neighborhoods, they are over policed and they are, you know, considered higher crime. But they're over policed and the police will hassle these people. They hassle the homeless.
Yeah, because it's an easy target.
It's an easy target.
An easy target.
You don't need to kick a homeless person while they're down. You know what I mean? Like, they have very, very little, and you want to take everything, every scrap of everything that you have from them, just so you can fill your quota.
Yeah, but can I play devil advocate for a little bit? Okay, so would you agree that that's where most of the crime would be had? Because you get a poor population, many people ain't making money, and they go to these poor areas because that's where the crime is happening. So it's kind of like it's a necessary evil that's needed, because in poor neighborhoods, more crime happens. So we kind of need them there, but they're there for the wrong reasons. They're not there to help necessarily. They're there to meet their quota, but they're needed. So how will we even get to the borderline? Like, how will we get to a median of winning out the people that are just there for their quota versus people that are there to help?
Yeah. And that's the tough thing. That's a whole subject in and of itself about, you know, defunding the police and what that means and what restorative justice is. You know, but as far as people being in poorer neighborhoods and over-policing poorer neighborhoods, how do you know that there's not plenty of white crime happening in white rich neighborhoods?
It is. It's called white-collar crime, and it happens in the corporation.
Exactly. Nobody who looted us of our, they talk about looting, but the people who looted us and stole all that money and put us in a financial crisis in 2008, there's nobody in jail for that. How fucked up is that? And if you're rich, you can get away with whatever you want. The rich get richer and the poor get prison.
Yeah, I've seen the best meme is that big businesses, when they loot, it's called business. When poor people loot, it's called
violence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I posted that on my Instagram the other day.
That's exactly what it is. But I'm glad that you brought up defunding the police, because it's been a big fight on the internet and social media and the news about defunding the police and abolishment of the police. Yeah. I actually wrote down the definition for people that don't know, because I was one of those people that was like, defund the police? Y'all need to keep the police around for people like me that was in 2008 stealing and robbing people. Yeah. You don't need to defund anything. Mm-hmm. But then once I read the policy, then I started to understand. For the people that don't know what defund versus abolishment mean, because like I said, it was a whole controversy thing on the internet about it. People were saying, now we need the police, and other people was like, get rid of the police. In a nutshell, defunding the police is basically taking a large amount of money that they spend willy-nilly all over the place and giving it to other departments to take over those jobs that the police actually shouldn't be doing because they're not trained for it. And abolishment is not taking away money, but getting the community that has suffered the most from police brutality, getting it to the point where they don't have police at all. Like, they'll have it, and then maybe next year less police, and then maybe next year, just someone that rides around in the community, make sure everything's safe, and then get down to the point where the neighborhood is basically policing themselves.
Yeah, I am definitely doing a lot of research on defunding the police. Right now, I'm reading a book that I recommend everybody go and read right now called The End of Policing by Alex Vitale. It's actually for free. The ebook is for free on versobooks.com, so a little point there. But, I have realized that I'm an abolitionist of policing,
So you're down for the abolishment of police altogether. Why?
As far as, here's the thing, because everybody's first question is, well, what about violent crime? Yeah. Absolutely. That was the first thing I wanted to know. But I'm like, okay, well, what about the pedophiles? And what about the killer cops? And what about all of that? But the thing is with abolishing the police, it's about what you put in place of it. And I think abolishing the police is a goal to reach. It's not a snap of the fingers. It's something that you gradually do. But as far as what you do about the violent criminals, I believe that there should be a force of highly, highly, highly trained people that are armed, that go in and deal with those violent criminals and take care of that. That's what I think. And if you want to say that that's not necessarily abolishing the police, then
because that's what I was just about to say.
That's cool by me. But as far as the traditional police, that we know, and that the system that it's built on, that is here to perpetuate crime and create crime, I think that shit needs to go.
See, my stance on defunding the police is, when I read the policy, I'm like, okay, this is great. Like, when me and my friend was at the house the other day, and we was looking at, and she told me about LA having Lamborghinis as their cop cars.
I have seen a picture of one. I don't know if it's real.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was real, but I looked it up. I put in, and for people that want to look into it, just put in LA police cars. Yeah. And it'll bring up the link, and you can click on the picture, and it's a legit Lamborghini. But I would think that, okay, well, you can't run after a criminal in a Crown Vic and shit. And, LA's a really rich city. They have really nice cars, and, you run a stoplight, and then you're in a Crown Vic, and that dude's in a Lamborghini. You ain't catching up to him. So people getting away, but that's besides the point. My thing is, defunding police really I'm with it when I read the policy, but then I'm against it when I think about it in human aspect of how humans are. Okay, you got defund the police, taking away money and allocating it into different departments that the police are not trained for. Okay, so I'm sorry, but no amount of money is worth me going out not knowing if I'm going to get killed today. So they already not making the amount of money, which they get kind of paid a little bit low to go risk their lives already. Yeah. So you got that aspect of it, but then you got people that already go out and do that or whatever. And then you take money away from that, and now, you wean out the people that are just wanting power, but the people that's going to stay that still want power, I'm afraid that they're just going to turn into crooked cops anyways. But then when I read the policy of it, I'm like, oh, this could work. But then again, you still got those humans that want that power. And now, they're not getting paid that much, but they got their power kick still. But then if it really, really works out, then, you'll get the good cops that actually just want to help people. Yeah. It's kind of like being a teacher. Teachers don't make that much. So if you take a teacher job, you're not taking it for power. You're taking it because you really want to help kids. Yeah. So I'm just scared about that thing. And then the abolishment of cops, I'm going to disagree with you. That's okay. I don't think that there should be an abolition of cops. There's a couple of people. My son is one of them. He was actually there with, I forget her name, but they was there at Congress, Tamina Howard or someone like that. I don't know, but his name's my son. He's in the conscious community, and he's a rapper also. And he got on live and told everybody, yes, I can't wait till they abolish the police. I'm going to pay $1 billion to get, a gang of people together and surveillance the hood. You're talking to people that already rob and steal people. Yep. So you're going to pay them to get the community together or police the community when they're already crooked. So you're already paying already crooked cops or people to police. The only thing that I see there is extortion. Yeah. Hey, give me your shoes, or I'm the police. You can't tell nobody. Yeah. Oh, give me your social security check. I mean, we the police, the real police ain't here. So give me your shoes, give me your wallet, give me your social security, give me what you got. And it's going to be the fucking wild, wild west.
I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from. But I think it's like when you start exploring the alternatives, it doesn't have to be that bad. And it doesn't have to be that way. As far as the people that you have on the force, whether they're cops now or cops in the future where there is less police, they need to have monthly mental evaluations because you need to know where the fuck they stand. You know what I mean? There is a test. I think it's called the implicit bias test, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm going to have to look that up. I have no idea what that is.
Well, it just basically is a test that you can take for free online that tells you where, how biased you are racially, So I think that those things are important. You have to keep those people in check. As far as community policing, people taking care of their own, there are examples of that, like the AIM patrols in Minnesota, where basically it's the American Indian, I forget what the M stands for, but American Indian something, where basically it's, on the Native Americans take care of their own, in Camden, New Jersey, they have community policing there because they disbanded their police department. But community policing is, when you look at it, when you think about it, you would think, oh, yeah, this is going to work. Your own is taking care of your own. And, somebody from the community, yeah. But the thing is it doesn't matter if they're at barbecues with you. Yeah. They're still going to beat your ass in the streets if somebody calls and says, this person looks kind of sketchy. You know what I mean?
Could I cut in real quick?
Absolutely.
But what happens when you're from that community? Like, I'm originally from Oak Cliff. I moved to Garland when I was in the 4th grade. So I know more about Garland than I do Oak Cliff. Mm-hmm. So what happens when someone that's from the hood or from a certain community moves and then they have to police that area because that's where they was originally from?
Yeah.
How do we go about trying to figure that out?
I personally don't think that community policing works. I think it's a myth. It sounds nice, but in practice, it doesn't really work. You know, community policing, it doesn't alleviate the over-policing of poorer neighborhoods. Your poorer neighborhoods are still going to be over-policed. It's just going to be more people that, you know, look and live where you do, or look like and live where you do. You know, it expands police power, and hang on here. And it's more effective if you get involved with your local officials and you're in budget meetings. You know what I mean? That's something that I've taken up recently, is talking to my city councilor or councilman, you know, about what I think should be in place. You know,
what are some of those things that you've already talked to them about?
So we have something called the RIGHT program, the RIGHT Care program in Dallas, and that is actually something that's working really well. It is a program where for mental health crises, people in mental health crises, a social worker goes out with an officer from the DPD and takes care of that. And the social worker does, you know, is at the forefront of everything going on. Officer is just there to make sure that, you know, if he gets violent or whatever, you know, that they're okay. So that's been going on for 3 years.
See, but then
I think we need to expand that.
So with the defunding of the police, you ain't really defunding the police if the officer still has to be there.
Right. And I think that a lot of what, you know, we need is mediation experts, you know, crisis intervention specialists who, you know, because if you think about it, there are nurses who de-escalate situations every day with violent people and they don't crush their windpipe. You know, they do that shit on the daily. So does there need to be an officer there? I don't know. I think when you take the 911 call, that's where it goes, you know, where you're like, okay, is this person just really having a hard time? Is this a homeless person, you know, who maybe needs a resource, you know, somewhere to go? Or is this somebody who is, you know, waving a knife around and, you know, clearly out of it?
Yeah, I think that they do need to just give officers more of a guideline of what they can do, what they can't do. I mean, how many months do they spend in there? I think like 6 weeks or something like that. I think that they need to be training like ever so often because, listen, I drive my truck every day. So I'm never really messed up when something comes along the line because I've dealt with that ever so often every day. But if you take me out the truck for like 3 months, I might not know how to drive a stick no more.
Yeah.
So I think that we should be, was that like a pun intended?
No. I got a statistic for you.
What is it?
All right. You want to know how much training and de-escalation that DPD gets, Dallas Police Department gets issued, I guess you want to call it? 4 hours every other year. That's disgusting. And the thing is that more trainings are not, they don't work. They just don't work. More training does not take away somebody's racism and implicit bias in them. You know, you need new people in there. Again, you need those monthly mental health evaluations. You need that implicit bias training or, you know, testing, you know, to do that. And there's little evidence when you really look at it. I love research. I'm a nerd. Yeah. You know, but when you look at it, just adding and diversifying forces doesn't really work. Latino and Black cops perform just like their white counterparts do. When you really look at
in the neighborhood,
when you look at the research, they perform just like their the system.
But I think that's because they have a quota to meet.
Yep.
I think that's the main thing. take that damn quota away.
Yeah.
Because that makes people on edge. It's kind of like when you work at a call center. It's like, okay, you got to get 10 calls a day. Now you on edge 1 hour before, the shift is over because you're like, dang, I only got 7. I need 3 more calls. So it don't matter if it's some Indian guy on the phone that don't even speak well English. Hey, do you want a credit card system? Yeah. Okay. Like, you don't get, he's like, okay. Dang, I'm going to get pulled for that shit. But yeah, that's how it kind of is. But I mean, defund, abolish, I just really think that it should just be more focused in getting them better, weaning out the bad people. And with those mental evaluations, you'll eventually wean out those people. But I do want to talk about the pandering of Congress, the Democrat Congress throughout Dude, they had Kent the Cloud song.
Oh my God!
So I was embarrassed for them on the cool because I was like, damn, I don't even wear that shit. Like, y'all, and it's been so many.
Who okayed that?
I mean, I don't know.
I was just like, that's a great idea.
And bro, the Democrat throughout this whole thing has been dropping the ball with everything. Everyone from Joe Biden saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, to them wearing Kent the Claus, to every company that's kind of in bed with Democrats donating money. We all know why y'all donate money. Mm-hmm. We all know.
It's like every 4 years, a politician goes into a black church and is like, see, I'm with the people. Oof. And it's like that kind of pandering it's just, what does it really achieve? And I feel sorry for the people that it does affect. So, if you're really feeling that works, I question what you believe in.
True. It's really low-key disgusting. I ain't even gonna stunt. Like, when I seen black people kneeling, and even when I seen police kneeling, like, I'm not gonna say that it's not genuine, because some people out there probably was being genuine, but I think that it's just a vote thing. They don't want to lose the vote. They don't want to lose the money, especially Target. Target said, lives can't be replaced, but everything in that store that they looted can. You know that you mad that people went in there and looted that stove. You know you are, but you're saying that because that's the only high-end quality store in that community. Mm-hmm. And you want to make sure that they come back on top of your insurance money that you know that you got. Mm-hmm. That's what it really about. And I'm really disgusted at all the companies that wasn't worried about Black Lives Matter, because let's just go down the list. Breonna Taylor.
Yep.
Before George Floyd. Mm-hmm. What was the kid?
Ahmaud Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery. Before George Floyd.
Yep.
And several others before George Floyd. Mm-hmm. But because this one was televised, then it's like, oh, dang, we don't want to lose the black community is $1 trillion company. We put $1 trillion into the economy every single year. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm kind of sad that we ain't got our own stuff. But nevertheless, whatever. We're $1 trillion race. They're scared they're gonna lose our money. Mm-hmm. And then the Democrats know that black people only think and vote Democrat. Nobody's gonna vote Republican because everybody hates Trump. I don't know why they do. I personally like some of his policies. The death tax policy, he was trying to get rid of that. He was trying to lower taxes. Hey, those all affect people of color, but whatever. Nobody's voting for Trump. Even white people mad at him right now. Whatever.
There are some people voting for Trump.
Yeah.
They're there.
I see a rise, a rise in black people that's going to vote Republican. But like I said, they don't even know why they voting. But what I'm saying is that, how can I put this nicely? It's just disgusting to see that you hopping on the bandwagon because you might lose your vote or you might lose your money. But I know how it feels from the black side, from the white side. How you going to keep your people in check? How you going to keep your people in check? Because that's what I'm saying. Like, dang, I don't know, man. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, as far as keeping white people in check, that's our job. But that is mostly a white person's job right now.
But mostly the Democrats. Yeah, mostly people that's pandering, big corporation companies, all these people that's putting the Kent the Clout on, talking about they giving money. Walmart gave $100 million to a racial program. Target gave $10 million, and some type of big tech company gave $100 million. I don't know their name. I don't know if anybody even knows their name, but they gave $1 million.
Yeah. You know, like I said, white people, that is our job. You wonder what you can do? You can talk to other white people about this pandering shit. The thing is with, like, Republicans, we know they're not on our side. You know what I mean? Most of them, not on our side. The Democrats have taken the black vote for granted for a really, really long time. They just assume that they're going to have the black vote. But a good friend of mine says all the time, voting is a transaction. You're supposed to get something in return for your vote. And I think a lot of, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of communities of color are realizing that they're not getting anything in return for their vote. So that's when you see a lot of people going, you know what? Maybe I'll go over here and check out the Republican Party or the Libertarians or whatever. Or, you know, we tried to reform the Democratic Party with the Democratic Socialist movement with Bernie and all that. But
a lot of people didn't know that he even dropped out. I mean, he didn't drop out. He just stopped going to all the meetings and going out and doing, but he was still in the race for a long time.
And then COVID happened, and, you know, but also
of course his old ass got sick.
His old ass got sick. That was like I have like 3 things that I don't like about Bernie. Everything else I love.
He's old.
He's old, and I need a 2-term president.
Yeah.
Real talk. And second, he wants to end the filibuster. Or I'm sorry, he wants to end the filibuster.
What's a filibuster? I don't know what that is.
That's where they talk, Bernie does not want to end the filibuster. And I think that it needs to go. The filibuster is where you talk for a really long time so nobody else can talk. In Congress, in the Senate, and all of that. And so if they have a bill that they don't like or don't want to be voted on, they sit there and they just talk and talk and talk. And as long as it's relevant to the topic or they don't take a break, they can talk forever. There has been some good examples of filibusters out there. Wendy Davis, who's from Texas, she filibustered on the topic of abortion. You know, there was a bill that they were going to pass, and she put on these pink sneakers, and she didn't go to the bathroom, but she filibustered for hours. And I mean, like,
but now
hours and hours.
I don't think that you should get rid of the filibuster because it's hard to talk about something that's so in the gray area for 30 seconds or a minute or even 2 minutes. Like, that's why I started a podcast, because a lot of people get on and they talk about some stuff, but you only getting, with a gray area conversation, you only getting like 3 minutes of what that person's saying, and then it's on to the next. No, that shit's dead. Like, I gotta know what all you feel about it. And the more you keep talking, the more you either gonna lift yourself to hang or you're gonna lower yourself. But when you're talking in 3 minutes, I can tell when you're talking for 3 minutes, then I can't tell where you really stand on something. If you keep talking and talking and talking, I could be like, nah, they're bullshitting.
Tell me about it. I only get 3 minutes with my city councilors, if I'm lucky. Sometimes you get 60 seconds, and you got to put in your whole point in 60 seconds.
And you wrote a fucking 12-hour page.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Seriously. But, yeah, I mean, like, but the thing is the filibuster has been, it's been fucked up on both sides, because, like, Ted Cruz, there was a filibuster about, I don't even know what it, or, you know, the issue was something, I don't know what it is, but during his filibuster, he read Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss.
What?
It doesn't have to be about the topic. And it's really a form of protest. It's not up there. It's not up there to make points. They do it just literally just to protest and keep bills from being passed.
Oh, I gotta look that up. I had no idea about this.
But also, as far as Bernie goes, you know, he wants to, he doesn't want to end term limits. And I love Bernie, but we need to have term limits. You need to have new, fresh voices in there, you know?
What would be your age, your cutoff age?
cutoff age, I don't think that's as important as how many times you serve. You know, how many times you're a congressman? How many times are you a senator? How many times are you the president?
Yeah, some of those judges, I think that the judge position is a lifetime. Supreme Court is a lifetime.
Lifetime. And not everybody back in the day, people would just, you know, step down after a while. But now people wait till they die on the bench. You know what I mean? Literally. And so it's like, literally, like, you know, and I worry about their mental capacity.
Yeah, that's a tricky thing, is that when you start getting in that 70 range, you start kind of, I ain't saying losing your mind, but you kind of not as sharp.
You're not as sharp. And I'm trying not to be ageist, but come on.
Yeah. Like, bruh, come on now. Like, if you can't drive a car, then you shouldn't be up there deciding if somebody gonna go to jail or not.
Yeah.
Supreme Court, that's the one that I was invested in because, you know, I am Black. I've been to jail. That they shouldn't have that right to be there for a lifetime.
Right.
Not a lifetime. And like you said, just how many years? And for the president, I think 55. 55, cut that shit off.
I'm all right with like 60. If you're old enough to retire from working in the general force, you know, 65.
Yeah. Like, no, but that's real talk though. If any other job, motherfuckers looking at you like, damn, when he gonna retire?
Mr. Otis, you gotta go.
Yeah, then do you need to retire? I think, and this ain't bagging groceries at Walmart.
Yeah.
This depending if somebody gonna get out of jail in the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a position that you should hold forever, or any of those big time positions. I just don't. President, I know he don't hold a lot of power, but 55, because like you said, new blood. So many things is changing. So many more things is going on. New laws are being passed. And if you living back in the 1600s or 1966, you still gonna see a Black dude as a slave. You still gonna see a white person as a C word, for lack of better words, a cracker. You know, you gonna see that
cracker in front of me. It's okay.
I just don't want to offend nobody, but I'm just saying, like, you're still gonna see those people because that's the era that you grew up with. It's a lot of kids nowadays, white kids, that their friends allowed them to say the N word,
right? Because
they know that it's a term of endearment. This is my friend. This is my bro.
Yep.
You know, the N word. But then if you say that in front of some people that grew up in the 1960s, they want to kill you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how those presidents and how those congressmen and how the legislator think. Still back in them days.
Yep.
So they keep appointing these old people because they want to keep that old thought of thinking still there.
We got to wait for the dinosaurs to die out now.
Yeah, but the dinosaurs are never going to die out because you keep on sitting up there appointing these old people that have learned it from their mama or their daddy or their grandparents, and their mom has learned it from their grandparents, and their grandparents learned it from their, and the list just keep going on and on. I don't think that there's a coincidence that every person in power is 40 and up. Why ain't, what is that dude's name? Buttigieg. Thank you, Buttigieg. I think that he was a great candidate. And Andrew Yang, I really, really liked him.
I was down with the Yang gang.
I was.
Yeah, I still.
And I don't even vote. And I said, dang, if he run and he makes some momentum, I'll vote.
He's awesome. Yeah. Andrew Yang knows what's up. He is focused on our biggest problems that are about to hit us in the face, like automation. Yeah. What are you know what I mean?
I'm a truck driver.
I was gonna say
that shit's gonna hit me hard.
It is. Basic income. I forget what he calls it.
The Freedom Act or something like that.
The Freedom Dividend.
Freedom Dividend.
Yeah. You know, a basic income for people. I think that is, absolutely something we need. Yeah. You know? Again, when we talk about the police, like, for example, Austin Police Department, 8% of their budget could end homelessness in Austin. 8%. You know what I mean? So think about how little it's going to take to end homelessness, comparatively speaking, with what we give police departments and we put into bullshit practices. You know? It's just, what are we going to do? I'm sorry, I got to talk about this. We talk about homelessness.
No, go ahead. It's open discussion. Go ahead.
The Dallas Police Department last year had a $516 million budget. For fair housing and human rights, that budget is $920,000. Come on. Like, and $12 million for homeless solutions. Like, that's it. But there's literally over $500 million being funneled into the police department. What the fuck are we doing?
Because we all know what's going on. And we about to get into that.
Oh, all right. Here we
go.
So
one question that I do want to ask you, and I try to ask all protesters this because I was on the front line. I don't want to take that title as I was on the front line.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm going to put that right out there. I am not like on the front line.
Yeah, I don't want to be that person that went to one protest and like, I'm on the front line. Yeah, I don't want to do that. But I did go to a protest. But the George Floyd PSYOP, do you think it's real or not?
PSYOP? What do you mean?
Yeah, like a staged death.
Oh.
It's been a lot of talk about that.
No, I don't think it's staged. I think that the police are just racist as fuck.
I don't know. It's been some pretty good stuff going on. I wrote a couple of them because I went a little bit deep into it. One of the things that I analyzed about it is why this one?
Yeah.
Why is this one so televised? We just named 3 other people that died before George Floyd.
Yeah.
Why is this one the headline of everything?
That's the question right now. And for me, it doesn't have to do as much with like, a theory, but I think it has to do with, for like, I can't speak to anybody else's community, but I can speak for the white community a little bit. Why this one? Why George Floyd? Why not Eric Garner? And I think that I've been talking to some friends about this, and I actually posed the question on Facebook because I like to make people uncomfortable sometimes.
That's the best way.
It is.
That's how you gain weight.
We have to get uncomfortable as white people. We have a long, long history of not talking about shit because it makes us uncomfortable. We can't do that anymore. If we want to grow, we have to get uncomfortable. And
this whole cancel culture. Like, I've gotten into at least like 10 Facebook fights with people about COVID and is George Floyd death real or not? And, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. But there's been some really good points about George Floyd's death. One of them that I had is, one, the casket looks a little bit short for a 6'6" dude.
Yeah.
It looks super short. 2, conveniently, around the time that Obamagate is happening and Hillary Clinton going to trial or court, all of this stuff pops off. Everything. So is this a cover-up for what is going on behind the scenes in politics? It kind of seems like it is because everybody knows that the news, well, everybody doesn't know, but the news are ran by the families to be. Yep. Everybody knows the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, etc. They're ran by them. So, of course, if I'm one of those families and I know that she has information that might take me down or my company down, of course I'm not going to put it on the news. It's just a lot of stuff. I've been down the rabbit hole with this, and I'm not going to bring up the Freemasonry thing because my grandfather was a Freemason. I don't think that he was, sacrificing babies or anything like that. But I do think it's a little bit funny that this conveniently came up at this time. I went down the rabbit hole on this, and these are the facts that I brought up that I noticed, not off of no conspiracy stuff, just stuff that I seen out of my head. Just stuff that I seen off of my head. Okay, his neighbors, Derek Chauvin,
I think.
I hope that I'm saying his name right. But if I'm not, fuck you, because you killed somebody.
I was going to say, fuck him.
But his neighbors didn't even know that he was a police officer.
Really? I don't know.
Look, listen, if you live next to a police, you know you live next to a police. 9 times out of 10, yeah, even if they work out before they go or after they go, one time in that whole time that they live in your neighborhood, they're going to come home in a uniform. They're going to come home in their uniform. Mm-hmm. His neighbors that lived across the street from him did not know that he was a cop when they went to his house to go protest. Remember when all that stuff was going on and they went to his house and the cops lined his house, which I think is also disgusting, that you don't protect people that are protesting, but you'll go to the house for a known killer.
Yep.
And they went there and they was asking his neighbors questions and they was like, oh, that guy, they didn't even know his name. And they said, oh, I didn't even know he was a cop. I seen it on the news. That's my neighbor. How you don't know your neighbor a cop?
I have no idea what my neighbors do, what their names are, nothing.
Yeah, but your neighbors probably work at fucking Amazon or some shit. No, we talking about somebody that work for the city. You know somebody that work for the city, they either gonna come home in that motherfucking vest. They gonna come home. You work for a male person. You live across the street from a post office worker. They're gonna come home in them short ass shorts and that suit. Bro, you know who you live next to when it's a city official worker. You know. I mean, yeah, maybe if it was apartments, but this is a house. It's no cutting off. You know who you live next to. I mean, yeah, if you work at Amazon or Burger King.
I just don't.
Bro,
I'm a hermit.
Yeah, but
maybe these people are hermits.
But you're a hermit. These people are old people, old and white. They nosy as fuck.
You know, you're right there.
They nosy as fuck.
You got a point.
And just to kill the oh well, you know, they probably didn't know. They have talked to his wife several times to the point where they know that his wife is a nice person, but they don't like her husband. So you mean all them times that you talk to the wife, she did not one time say, oh, my husband's a cop for blah, 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 blah. No way.
I hear where you're coming from, and there's maybe some details that are not all there, but I still think that this is 100% real. I think, again, it's not about that. It's about, why did this wake white people up in particular?
Why did this wake the news up in particular? That's the one question that I have that trumps all of this, is out of all those people that died before George Floyd, why is this one highlighted?
I have asked that question to my friends
because recently, they're trying to start a race war. They're trying to start a race war between us and the police officers, because without government...
Trump likes that shit.
Dude, he really doesn't. He told Governor Cuomo to bring in the officials. They was tearing up the city, and he let it happen. Cuomo let it happen. Trump told him to bring in the officials. Mm-hmm. So if you telling somebody that's literally letting their city tear up, then what are you supposed to do? I'm not saying, look, I'm not a politician. I'm not for politics. I don't even vote. Let's get that on the record. I don't vote, because voting is like pretty much what you do to your sister when she's 3 years old. You put the both controllers in, but you put hers on computer and make her think that she's playing. That's basically what voting is. They're making us think that we're playing, but they're really just playing, and it's the computer. I don't vote. But when Trump tells them, hey, bring in the Army or the Navy SEAL, hey, your city's getting tore up, hey, Cuomo, please, hey, and he's letting the city get tore up, what are you supposed to do? He didn't even let people go and do what they were supposed to do. The National Guard, whatever was supposed to be brought in, the military, National Guard, I don't know. That's how much I'm not in politics. But if you go to his Twitter account, he literally said that. He really low-key threw a shot at Cuomo on the cool, but he told him to send in, the Army or whatever.
Wait, Cuomo told Trump to send in the Army?
No, Trump told Cuomo to send in because he was letting the city tear down.
Yeah.
He didn't send nobody in. It almost seemed like Cuomo was like, tear that shit up then.
Well, here's my perspective on this. I think that maybe Cuomo was hesitant to bring in like the National Guard and shit like that.
Okay, so that's what it is, the National Guard.
Yeah, the National Guard. This is a subject that kind of hits a little bit close to home for me because I went to a college called Kent State University. And on May 4th, 1970, Cuomo is old enough, and so is Trump, to remember what happened then. It was a big fucking deal.
What happened?
The National Guard opened fire on a group of protesters that were students and killed 4 people and wounded 9. And that was a really, really dark time. And so people remember, when you talk about the National Guard, it's not like, oh, they're just the, you know, the whatever cops, you know, they're just the army rejects or the, you know, whatever you want to call it. No, they've got bayonets and they've got guns and they've used them before. And I think that maybe Cuomo, I can't speak for him, but I think that maybe Cuomo didn't want a repeat of Kent State University.
Is that where it's at?
Yeah.
Kent State?
Mm-hmm. In Ohio, okay. Yeah. It's, you know, they were protesting the Vietnam War, you know, the invasion of Cambodia and the Vietnam War, and these were student protesters, and they fucking died.
Look, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but that happened a long time ago. We talking about what's happening now. People looting, people over there tearing up shit. And my thing is, nothing happens when, you know, violence isn't involved. Mm-hmm. Things doesn't get changed. If we all went out there and we peacefully protested to the day that we died, they'd just be like, oh, well, they just peacefully protest and they ain't doing nothing, they hurting our pocket.
The peaceful protests were what happened before all of this. No. Kneeling, you know, Kaepernick kneeling.
Yeah.
You know, all of that shit.
But what I'm saying is
wearing shirts that say, I can't breathe.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that he told them to send in the National Guards. And Cuomo didn't. Regardless of what happened back then, you still got to protect your city because we living in the right now.
Yeah.
If people is tearing up the city, then what do you do? Because guess what? Here in Dallas, I know 3 known Black-owned businesses that got hit.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying that the National Guards should have came in for that because I went to the protest. It wasn't really anything that really happened to the point where the National Guard should have been here. But I'm saying that when your city is getting tore down and the cops ain't doing nothing about it, then you have to bring in reinforcement, not to shoot, but to get things under control.
They can't get shit under control without shooting, though.
So none of them people know martial art combat?
I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for the National Guard.
I'm pretty sure they got some martial arts combat.
But they're not going to do that. They're going to use their rubber bullets that are less lethal forces, but that shit has destroyed people's lives. There was someone in Austin, there was somebody in Austin who lost an eye. There was a guy in Dallas who lost an eye, 7 teeth, and fractured the side of his face.
A news reporter?
That's just fucked up, you know? So, I mean, I think that the National Guard, I think that our armed forces, you know, they fight fire with fire. They don't de-escalate. They just shoot.
But that kind of just goes back to, I don't think the National Guard does so much of that because they're skillfully trained. Police officers, you get someone that you get someone that went through boot camp, probably trumps that 6 weeks of pussyfooting around in the cop force.
Right.
I mean, you're climbing walls. Most of them people ain't climbing walls. I mean, you got people over there shooting people in the back, so you know they ain't climbing a wall for nobody because they shooting people that's running away from them. Another one that I found out that was, and this is just me going off the eye. I'm not trying to get to conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but the mandate was lifted for the protest, but it was shut down for the mask and the 6 foot distance and all of that. When it came to a protest, it was like, okay, go out. When it came to working, it was like, hey, stay in.
Well, there was no law in place. It was those are recommendations for the most part.
Recommendations that people in New York was getting their ass whooped for and getting locked up for. So is it really a regulation or is it a law?
I think that it's a mandate, you know, but also the state was opening back up, especially here in Texas. So, you know, they want to open the state up back immediately. Sure. You know, but I mean, there wasn't like, you know, a law where they're fining people for being out or anything like that, to my knowledge anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't, but nobody there was 6 feet apart. Most people wasn't there 6 feet apart, and they was just popping off on people for the protesting, but not the 6 feet apart. When just last week before they opened up the state, then everybody was, you know, in whatever for, you know, the whole COVID-19. It's like the COVID-19 was flushed down the drain, and this is the new face of the news.
I think that it's a combination of COVID and everybody's bored and everybody's at home and they're watching their screens, and here we are and this thing happens and you can't look away. I think there are some other things to factor into it too, but I think that that's a big reason why George Floyd made everybody kind of go, whoa, what the fuck is this? You know, that's my opinion. I think that especially white people saw George Floyd as a man and not a black man. I think that they saw that he was not resisting. He was not being aggressive. He was calling out for his mother.
Yeah, that shit was sad.
It's sad, but it's real. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of people just couldn't look away after that, you know?
I'm actually glad that you had brought that up, and this is on to my last point before this ends, is that this guy in Paris, France, named Adama Traoré, video that happened in 2016 in Paris, France. He died the same way that George Floyd died. You know, knee on the neck, and they painted it out to be like it happened this year, but it happened in 2016. Why would they post that like that? Why would they bring that up? Because I feel like they really trying to start a race war. When, I mean, look, everybody's coming together. Nobody's seeing color right now. We just seeing the rich versus the poor, and the righteous versus the bad people, which is the elite. And they see that coming together, and that's our biggest power. Everybody asks me, okay, so you don't want us to protest, you don't want us to loot, then what do? Power in numbers. We power together and we still keep protesting, but we do it for a different cause, which is taking down the elite. I'm not saying don't protest for George Floyd. I'm just saying change the narrative. Ask for reparations. Ask for, which, like I said in like one of my second podcasts or whatever, I don't think that we're going to get them. But once we start asking for them, you can't turn away from it. You can't turn away from it. And I think that's where our civil war is going to start, right there. The moment that black people ask for reparations. Right now, they're just pussyfooting. They're giving us stuff here and there, taking laws away, giving us laws. Once we ask for that moolah, that's over and done with. But we're not really asking for much right now, and it all just seems really iffy. It's around the same time that elections is starting. It's around the same time that Clinton and Obama is supposed to, Obama administration is supposed to go for those cases. Hillary, she's supposed to go for the content of her laptop with Anthony Weiner. And Obama is supposed to go for what I feel is treason, him getting in contact with the whole Russia thing or whatever. Anyone wants to look that up, look at the Mueller report. I don't have enough details or on my laptop to go through it. So you can look that up for yourself, read all the content, read all the not the lyrics, but read all of the information on the Mueller report and figure out everything that's going on.
We're just at a tipping point right now. I think there is a shitstorm. There is a dumpster fire of a year going on here.
I think the elite is fighting right now. I think everybody...
They're not going to go down without a fight.
Yeah, I think that the Republicans and the Democrats, I think both elite parties that's in that weird demonic Freemasonry shit is fighting right now. And they're trying to put on a show. I watched the show. I mean, I watched the hearing for, the Hillary trial and everything like that. And it just really seems like it's a show. It just seems like it's a show. It don't seem like nobody's going to get indicted. It doesn't seem like anybody's going to go to jail. It just seems like, oh, shit, it got out and we got to do something about it, or the people are going to find out what's going on. They're going to figure out all this is a psyop.
Yeah. I think it is all a show. I think, the media manipulates what we talk about and what we think about. That's why the protests are fading into the background, because they are mostly peaceful. There's not a bunch of violent shit going on right now. But peaceful doesn't sell. Sensationalism sells.
Exactly. Man, I'm glad that you came on. I'm glad that you enlightened us on a lot of things that's going on in the background. I love to get people that actually are in the lifestyle and educate us about things that are going on. Please give out all of your socials, all of the people, everywhere where people can reach you in case they want to go to a protest, in case they want to have you on the podcast just to talk about these type of things.
Yeah. I would say the easiest place to find me, because I spell my name kind of weird. I just had to be original.
Rybiski. That's not her name, folks.
It's Rybiski, but Rybiski, it's right there. But the easiest place to find me is on Facebook. My group is called A Daily Call to Action, and that is where we take small but impactful actions every day. People are wondering, what do I went to a protest, or maybe I can't protest. What do I do next? This is the place for you. If you are about continuous action and you want to keep going, join our group. It's A Daily Call to Action. You can find me there. I'm on Instagram at Cait's 9 Lives, but most of the important shit I do is on A Daily Call to Action.
Okay. And you can follow me at Crowder the Great on Instagram, An Hour with Crowder on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, and YouTube on all platforms. And you guys have a great day. We're out.
Peace. Hey, this is Cait Rybiski from A Daily Call to Action. You're tuning in to An Hour with Crowder. Keep it locked.